Welcome to this webinar focused on opportunities and challenges in building a career in finance. We're pleased that you've been able to join us today. Some housekeeping items for the webinar. There will be time for questions at the end when we'll open the chat feature. If you have questions that arise during the webinar, we would encourage you to tweet them with the hashtag MAB webinar. We will enter them into the queue. Contact information will be also listed at the end of the webinar, and recordings of our proceedings will be available. I'm Deborah Cole, coordinator of the MAB program, and we will hear from two Master of Agribusiness alums, Sarah Lukach and Kelley Ayres, today. This webinar is sponsored by the Master of Agribusiness program at K-State. Established in 1998, our flexible hybrid program tailored toward individuals working full-time in all areas of food, agriculture, and animal health has reached more than 425 students. Our students come to us with a bachelor's degree, 2 years of professional experiences, and having completed some prerequisite coursework. The companies and agencies who employ our students indicate that the skills our graduates hone while in the program directly impact their teams, divisions, and companies in a positive way. Through our program, students develop a thorough understanding of the micro and macroeconomics impacting the food, ag, and animal health supply chain. They better understand the business principles their companies use each day and are able to analyze the current situation and future opportunities. Throughout the program, our students network across all areas of industry and are able to bring that network to bear when making decisions and executing strategy. This webinar arose out of an increased interest in the MAB program by individuals working in the areas of finance and banking. We have with us today Sarah Lukach and Kelley Ayres. Sarah is a 2017 graduate of the MAB program, and her thesis was entitled Feasibility of Business Expansion in the Seed Industry. She currently serves as the Principal Credit Officer for Compeer Financial. Kelley serves as the Chairman, President, and CEO of the First Bank of Minden in Minden, Nebraska. He is a 2015 graduate of the MAB program, and his thesis was titled Simulation Models of Bank Risk Management. Sarah, I'll turn it over to you.
Thank you, Deborah, for having me this morning. Trying to advance the slide. Deborah, could you try to advance it? It's not advancing. There we go. Thank you. As Deborah said, I'm the Principal Credit Officer for Compeer Financial in our Food and Agribusiness Department. Compeer Financial is part of the Farm Credit System. Recently merged 3 farm credits together, former AgStar in the Minnesota territory, Badgerland Financial in Wisconsin, and First Farm Credit Services in Illinois. Okay. About me, as Deborah said, I'm a graduate in 2017, and in addition to my role as a Principal Credit Officer for Compeer, I am also very involved in our family farming operations. I manage all of our financial record keeping for our businesses and farming. So I guess the agricultural industry right now, we are facing quite a few challenges, primarily more in our production industry. We've seen a lot of changes from price for our farmers, which have resulted in quite a bit of liquidity issues and cash flow challenges. As I'm looking through farmers, financials most recently, those are the 2 areas that I'm seeing as part of their challenges for the next couple of years. Some of this is a result of just pure grain prices, and some of it is a result of high machinery and equipment purchases over the last couple of years. Cash rent in our area in Illinois is highly competitive and higher than some areas of the United States. We're starting to see more of our farmers negotiate on their cash rent going forward, which should help some of their cash flows. This stress in the production side of the ag industry has resulted in additional stress in some of the other industries, such as the machinery equipment dealers and input supply companies. Many of the machinery equipment dealers have seen a very big decrease in sales over the last year and a half to 2 years. They, however, have been able to move inventory off their lots, which has helped put them in a better position to get through the next couple of years of potential downturn in purchases, which is expected. Our input supply companies, similarly, they're seeing a lot more competition in the market space. Farmers are really putting the pencil to paper on their prices of their inputs, which is creating a lot of competition from the retail side of things. Additionally, on the grain elevator side of things, they are looking more at counterparty risk going forward. We haven't seen some of that since the 2000s, but as we're seeing some pretty strong price changes, there is more concern on counterparty risk and delivery risk going forward there. Global and domestic factors are also impacting lending. The global unrest, demand and supply, and some of our relationships throughout the world on how much that we're going to be able to move to the different countries will be a challenge, as well as the valuation of our dollar. Interest rate risk, something everybody's been talking about for the last couple of years. We have seen obviously some upticks in short-term rates. Long-term has somewhat followed, but not as quickly as the short-term rates, but we're expecting to see more of those increases as well. There is a lot of optimism in agriculture, and one of the best things about farmers is their resiliency. So a lot of people are comparing right now to the 1980s, and I would say there is some similarities, but quite a few differences. Right now we're walking into this downturn in ag with balance sheets being in fairly good conditions. I did talk about liquidity challenges, but from an equity perspective, we're seeing pretty strong balance sheets. Farmers did pay down quite a bit of debt over the last several years of profitable years, so they are not coming into this, with a very stressed balance sheet. They also have solid infrastructure in place. A lot of CapEx was purchased over the last 5 to 7 years, so there shouldn't be as many capital purchases needed from the farmer perspective. Government payments. ARC payments came out last year. Farmers did get, in most areas, received some level of payment, which was a positive, and they've also been released for the fiscal year 16 crop as well. So that is going to be a bump for producers. Commercial ag industry, they've also, as I mentioned, prepared for this downturn. Creative lending from a standpoint of supplier lending has started to happen. They are working with farmers to better manage their farms from a standpoint of not perhaps putting on all the different lime fertilizers and so forth. So we're seeing a lot of that in our area. And I would argue that this is a great time for lenders to shine. A lot of people are, again, comparing this to the 1980s when lenders were, maybe harder to work with, and I think this is an opportunity for lenders to show that we are with the ag industry. Deborah asked me to talk about what the Master of Agribusiness program, how it helped me and so forth, and I think the first thing was the exposure to the various agricultural sectors. Being in lending, I have an opportunity to lend to a vast variety of different companies and industries in ag. And the networking and relationships I made from the cohort that I was in has only helped me. I now have relationships with grain dealers in North Carolina, folks that are dealing in mineral and selling wholesale fertilizer throughout the United States. So those relationships have greatly helped me to bounce things off of those people, call them if I see something going on in Illinois, and get their perspective. The coursework within the MAB program can be applied instantly. The optimization course that I took and also the simulation courses I was able to apply right off the bat within my job. And that was, a great enhancement for my work and performance and what I could provide for the company. There's many career opportunities that come from this program. It's a well-respected program throughout the ag industry, and I know Deborah, they'll have several different opportunities to apply for different positions and so forth as a result. And I also would say the thesis writing was an excellent experience. It's just, you know, a lot of times we don't write many reports when we are in our professional careers, depending upon what job that you do, and I would argue that it was an excellent opportunity for me to write a 70-page report. So I thought that those were the highlights for me. So thank you, and I will turn it over to Kelley.
Okay, thank you, Sarah and Deborah. And I've got I guess I'll approach things from a little bit different angle. Our bank is a single location bank in south central Nebraska. We employ 15 people. And I'm president of the bank and have a little bit different role in addition to working directly with customers, and you know, I wear a lot of different hats. So I'm going to kind of talk about it from that angle as well as the banking industry in general. And just listed a few current challenges that we have in banking. We've been in a low interest rate environment for a long time, and that's really impacted our margins and made those kind of tight, which has made profitability for the bank elusive. We've got very fierce competition from other banks, Farm Credit System, vendors do a lot of financing, and that's just with our agricultural customers, and then all the online options for consumers, home loans, that sort of thing. I mean, there's just competition from every angle. As Sarah talked about, there's plenty of challenges in the agriculture economy. We're in an area of row crop production, and right now current prices are not profitable. So that presents some challenges. In the banking environment, we've got a lot of regulatory issues that we're dealing with. You know, when we had the financial crisis a few years ago, that created many regulations, and contrary to popular belief, they weren't all on big banks. I mean, that filtered down, and banks of all size are dealing with that. And then another thing that our industry is really working on is workforce development. There were quite a few of us that got into banking in the mid-'80s, but the last 20 years we've really not brought a lot of new people in the industry. And that's something, as an industry, we're really working on. All of these challenges create a lot of opportunities. If you're in banking, you know, there's all kinds of opportunities, you know, with finance in general. And with that, I kind of lump that together, as Sarah talked about, dealing with your different customer base. You know, you can apply a lot of the principles there. And then more on the management side, like for me at the bank, there's a lot of those principles I can apply when we're looking at different alternatives. Software, for instance, are huge investments for the bank. So, you know, when we look at those kind of opportunities or hardware upgrades or introducing new products, a lot of those concepts can be utilized. With our investment portfolio we have in the bank, you know, that's a broad area to work in. Risk management, every single thing we do at the bank when we're dealing with regulators is how did you assess your risk and what are you doing to manage it. So that's a huge area for the bank. Our bank has a trust department, and there's quite a few that do. So with trust and wealth management, there's many opportunities there. The payment system, you know, there aren't many checks written anymore. There's so many of the payments that are electronic, and some of the newer things like the person-to-person payments that can be done on the internet or your smartphone is an area that's really expanding at this point in time. There's many product delivery channels in banking, from your traditional main office or branch, as well as internet, mobile, and all of these things have been impacted dramatically over the years by technology. I mean, that's revolutionized every one of these items I just talked about. As far as benefits of the MAB program for me, the class projects and assignments had a tremendous amount of value. I think whenever we had an assignment or a project, I think there was only 1 or 2 times where I couldn't directly apply that to something I was working on at the bank at the time. So that really gave me a lot of options when I started to think about what I wanted to do for my thesis, because in almost every class I had a project that I had looked at a problem or a situation or an opportunity that we had at the bank and thought of a way to apply the coursework to that. And my thesis was based primarily on concepts that we learned in the risk management class. I used the cumulative distribution functions and scenario manager to develop some models to look at primarily interest rate risk of the bank. But I've also used those same concepts to work on some models and analyze, for instance, in our municipal bond portfolio we have at the bank, to look at that to see, do we want to stay shorter on the maturity ladder, or do we want to go on out? I mean, what's our risk reward on our various options there? Crop insurance is a really significant issue for our customers, as well as some land I manage in our trust department. Crop insurance is really complex, and some of these concepts, especially in risk management, you can use to make better decisions. How much risk can I afford to take? How much do I want to try to insure? Again, there's all kinds of applications for finance. There's been many times either working on things for the bank or helping customers, where I've thought back about Dr. Featherstone's finance class, and I've built simple spreadsheets based on some of the coursework we did there to help get an answer on looking at present values, all sorts of things. I've used a lot of that. All the other classes like the econometrics, optimization, logistics, supply chain, having knowledge about that is certainly valuable to help your customers. We're bombarded with all kinds of information and studies and that sort of thing, and having a general knowledge of those kind of things help you determine whether or not you think there's any real value, or their methods sound. Do you have quality information that you can make a decision on? The class in policy, everything is political, so having a better understanding of that is certainly valuable. And then in my position at the bank, I mean, I wear a lot of different hats, so the things we did in the business department between marketing, organizational behavior, all those sort of things brought value to me. Just some general advice, and Sarah alluded to this too, is get to know your classmates. There's all kinds of valuable resources there. People all over the world that do different things. So that was really fun and interesting to get to know the classmates throughout the course of the program when we were working on problems. I had 4 or 5 people that regularly we bounced ideas off each other and helped each other out. And that's one of the real keys to getting through all this, is to develop a good network to help each other out. As far as dealing with the program itself, I mean, the classwork for your first couple of years is pretty intense. You know, just develop a routine and stick with it. And then, you know, to get that thesis done, maintain your routine throughout until your thesis is complete. You know, I was kind of a non-traditional student. I've graduated from college quite a few years ago in the early 80s, and I'd always been interested in pursuing a master's degree, and I opted not to do that right after I graduated and received my undergraduate degree, but I'd seen that the MAB program was started, and I'd kind of watched it, and I just got to the point where I thought the time was right for me to be able to take advantage of it. You know, I've got a little bit different goal. I mean, I wasn't looking at career advancement or career change. You know, things have changed a lot, and things are going to continue to change dramatically in banking over the next 10 or 15 years. And for me, the program was really valuable to, you know, learn some new skills, hone some skills, and, you know, hopefully keep me so I'll be sharp and relevant for the next 10 to 15 years. And that's all I have. I have a message. You may have lost my audio. Are we back on?
I do want to thank both of you for being with us today, and wanted to communicate that if you're interested in pursuing the Master of Agribusiness program, we are currently accepting applications, both for our January. Yep, it came back. Thanks, Kelley. We are accepting applications both for our January 2018 cohort as well as our August cohort. We'd be more than happy to talk with you about that. The current published deadline for applications is October 15th. However, we do have an extension from the graduate school on that and are able to work with you beyond that date as well. Would also like to pass on to you that if you are currently job searching or you have opportunities and would like to make some hires, we do have the ability to post job opportunities to our group of students and alumni. Even if it's not a good fit for someone currently in the program or an alumni, they are very well connected, and we've had great success in helping companies find especially middle level, upper level management and backfilling positions. We do have an event coming up next week in Olathe, October 19th and 20th, our Leading Through Change event, and also have some short courses and trainings we're able to offer on any of our curriculum material for you and your company. If you have any questions or would like to get connected with Kelley or Sarah, you can contact me, mab@ksu.edu, and our phone number is there as well, 785-532-4495. Thank you again for joining us, and we look forward to seeing you in class.